When I was growing up, I thought that a producer was a large fat man with a big cigar with his feet up on the table. I never, ever thought that could be me. And so when I eventually worked my way up the production ladder, you know, doors began to open. And actually, it wasn't about whether I was a man or a woman. It was because I was actually quite good at the job.
It's maybe we felt that it's a time that it's more acknowledged that women have the same qualities and the same abilities as men have.
Changing perceptions is the key thing. We need to stop people thinking that men are in the traditional jobs. As soon as you reverse that idea, younger women get the idea that they can do that job.
That the normal of today is not the normal of tomorrow, and that things have to change, and that the perception of the situation has to change.
If you see women in certain positions, behind the camera, you know, lifting gear, being important producers, or whatever, then that will inspire young women to go the same way.
Hello everyone, good afternoon and welcome to the Road to Europe on Screen 2025 online workshop Costume Design in Film with Laura Nobile. This workshop is organized by Europe on Screen 2025 in AU and Cine Europa as part of the Road to Europe on Screen 2025. The workshop will be conducted in English. If you have any questions for Laura, please ask them during the Q&A time. You can ask in Indonesian as well. We will translate the questions into English for you. Please note that this entire session is being recorded. Also, don't forget that Europe on Screen 2025 will take place from June 12 to 22, where you can enjoy and watch our offline festival screenings at various locations including Jakarta, Bandung, Denpasar, Medan, Sidoarjo, Surabaya, and Yogyakarta. For more detailed information, please visit our official website. Today's workshop will be led by Laura Nobile. She is a costume designer and the coordinator of Tirelli Costumi in Italy. She achieved bachelor's degree in law from the University of La Sapienza in Rome. And in 1999, she became attorney at law. And in the same year, she started to work at Tirelli Costume House. Laura's first employment in Tirelli was to write delivery notes for costumes shipments of rented costumes for movies and opera productions. Thanks to the simple job, she improved her knowledge in costumes historical period, and above all, she had the opportunity to learn all about the costumes belonging to Tirelli Costumes House. Later, she was involved in the account department and under the guidance of Mr. Dino Trapetti, the CEO of Tirelli Costumi. She improved her skills in company management, becoming Mr. Trapetti's right hand. In this role, Laura cooperated of the realization of some exhibitions of the works of Tirelli Costumis, as for example, please excuse if my pronunciation is wrong. One of them is Tosi alla Scala, La Scala Milano 2002, Tosi de Nobili Damiani, and a few other great exhibitions of Tirelli Costumi. In 2008, Laura became coordinator. Her work starts from the first contact with the costume designer up to the general supervision of the project until its conclusion. And also today, Laura will be accompanied by Valerio Caruso. He is the director of Cine Europa, a portal devoted to European cinema in 4 languages, offering news, databases, services, and promoting European cinema in Europe and beyond. As a consultant, Valerio Caruso has been providing technical assistance to several national authorities, the European Commissions, and UNESCO in the field of cinema, culture, and the audiovisual. Since November 2018, he has been the team leader of the project to support delegations of the European Union in the world in organizing film festivals. And before we start today's workshop, let's welcome the co-directors of the Europe on Screen 2025, Menina Putri Wismurti and Naufal Yazid, to give some remarks. Putri and Naufal, please turn on your camera and mic.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you, everyone, for coming to our last day of Road to Europe on Screen 2025 of online film workshop. Thank you so much, Valerio and Laura, for joining us today for our very first costume design online workshop. This is something that we have already been planning for quite some times now. I mean, since me and Nova starting to run the festival back in 2018, we always dreamed to have this kind of workshop. So I hope everyone can also learn a lot from this session, can ask also to Laura about how to do a design costume, especially from all the work that Miss Laura has already done in such a great work that especially in the I've mentioned this in the press conference in Marie Antoinette and the Age of Innocence. So this is something that we can learn. And also the recent film, the Diamanti, the diamonds. So I hope that everyone can also learn from that. And thank you so much, Valerio, for always supporting Europe on Screen Indonesia. And I hope everyone can learn. And let's the workshop begins.
Thank you. Thank you, Dara. Thank you for this introducing me. And it's a great honor for me to host this workshop. So let me know if I can start or Valerio can introduce something. I don't know if we can, if I
Yeah,
can
you
start.
can start. I'm here also because I'm very interested about your workshop, and
Okay.
I will also try to break the ice after your pitch, after your presentation, just to make some questions, and then we can leave the floor to the participants for more questions. So thank you very much, Laura, and thank you very much to the delegation of the European Union in Indonesia and to Naval and Putri for conducting this wonderful event.
Okay, thanks. Okay, I just want to introduce our costume house because I think that's important just to know how a costume house like Tirelli is so important in the world for costume, and there's a point. It's a costume house that each costume designer has like a light in the costumes because Umberto Tirelli was the founder, was a lover of whole clothes and fashion from his youth. He born in Gualtieri in Emilia in the north of Italy and in the 1928, and since he was young he enjoyed making costumes for friends with the scissors clothes. But he lived in a provincial. This was a provincial life for his, and no longer suited him. So he decided to move to a big city like Milan, where the fashion was very important. And he started working in a clothes shop. Then he get in touch with an important costume house in Milan, the Finzi. We made that made costumes for theater, and he started working there. And in that occasion, he had the possibility to went to La Scala in Milano and to see Maria Callas sang. So this important meet with to see the Divina singer for his was so impressed that he decided that he wanna work in this area, theater, cinema, and costumes. He get in touch with Visconti there, and also with Franco Zeffirelli, that was a friend of Visconti, and Piero Tosi. So they
Laura, maybe
yes.
we should say that because maybe not all the people in Indonesia know Maria Callas was the
Okay.
greatest singer in the world in the 60s and 70s.
Yes.
The greatest opera singer, and of course Zeffirelli, and you said the other name, Zeffirelli and
Yeah. Piero Tosi was the big costume designer, most important costume designer in the world, I think. So, do you prefer I explain who is there?
No, sorry. So just say thank you.
Okay, okay. So let me know if it's interesting for the people to understand who was Tirelli, or if
No, it's very, very interesting. Just that
yes, of course.
sometimes
I
we
explain if there are people that maybe they don't know. Okay. Okay, so Piero Tosi was, I think, the best costume designer in the history, because also he was the first costume designer that won an Oscar for his career. The Oscars for career usually were done to the actors or directors. Instead, in the 2013, this Oscars was given to Piero Tosi, and Piero Tosi was the best friend of Umberto Tirelli, who convinced him after he worked in Milan, and he moved from Milan to Rome in another costume house to work with the Safas, to have, after some years, his own costume house. Piero Tosi was the great costume designer that made the costumes for Gattopardo. Il Gattopardo was one of the most important, iconic film in costumes. The costume were of 1860, and was very important in the history of the cinema, because Piero Tosi as a costume designer, made a reconstruction of the costumes so philological that opened a new area in costumes. Because before that, the costumes, as for example in Cleopatra of oddio, mi sfugge l'attrice del film Cleopatra, degli anni 50, l'attrice di Cleopatra era, scusate, ok, vabbè, importantissima. No,
Elizabeth Taylor.
Elizabeth Taylor, bravo, with Elizabeth Taylor, the idea of costumes were different. The costumes in that period until the end of the 60s was an idea of, yes, of historical costumes, but with a point of the fashion of the moment. For example, the Cleopatra clothes were very tiny to the physical, with the bust as in that period, in the 1950. Instead, with Piero Tosi, he started a new reconstruction of the costumes. The costumes very, very philological, as in the past was. So he wanted to make a reconstruction of the costumes like in the past. And this was very important because opened this new idea to have costumes. Il Gattopardo was prepared in the costume house named the Safas, was in Rome, where Umberto Tirelli worked as director of the costume house. And he prepared these costumes with Piero Tosi and the director that was Visconti. At the end of this meticulous and historical rigor reconstruction of the costumes, Piero Tosi told to Umberto Tirelli to open and to have his own costume house. And in that period start the new era of Umberto Tirelli. And he told every time that his costume house was born thanks to a generosity of the friend and friendship of the friends, because a lot of friends gave him help to have his costume house. Dino Trappetti, that is the president now, gave him in the past some money to open the costume house. And when the first job of Umberto Tirelli had just a little bit success, he asked to Dino Trappetti if he want back the money, or if he want to become a partner in the society, and he decided to remain as a partner. And in fact, now at the end, at the death in the 1990 of Umberto Tirelli, Dino Trappetti became president of our costume house. The importance of the works of Umberto Tirelli inside the costume house was that he gave a new figure in a costume house, because it doesn't. He was not a costume designer. I'm not a costume designer, but he was a person between the costume designer and the cutter. Was the person that can interpreted the idea of the costume designer and translate this idea to the cutter. So he was an important figure in the middle that was important to give to a costume designer a support to make the costumes and to give to the cutter, to the seamstress, the right way to go ahead. And Umberto Tirelli saw to the other people that work with him in the past, he leave this here to be this kind of person that fill the gap between the costume designer and the tailor. So a mediator who helps to interpret the sketch until the costume was made. So this figure was important, and today we continue this way of work. In fact, we don't have a costume designer inside, but assistant that study costumes, of course, and the people that help the costume designer to speak with the tailor and to help the costume designer to find the right fabrics, the right ribbons on what is needed to prepare the costumes and to prepare all the material to give to the tailor. Mi sono persa. Ok. So I think that the importance of this kind of figure was basic, because in other costume house there not a figure like this. The costume designer entered in the past in the costume house, tell to the owner of the costume house what he wants, and then the owner prepare the costume. Instead, in this way, we had a mediator, an important figure to help a costume designer. For this reason, a lot of important costume designer. I don't know if you can share the picture I send you, so we can. There is it's possible to share. Okay. Okay, this is the first image, because a lot of Oscars was given to the costume designer that make costumes in our costume house. And if we can go ahead with the picture, so thank you. The second slide. Okay. Here you can see what I speaking about before. We see Umberto Tirelli with the costume designer Lilla De Nobili, the woman who make the dresses, and the set designer of La Traviata, that was Lilla the Maria Callas, the famous singer, and Piero Tosi saw the first time, Piero Tosi, Umberto Tirelli saw for the first time, and he decided to work in this kind of work. And the other slide, we have the leopard. If you go, okay, the leopard I speak about before, the most important film that opened a new era for the costumes. And in the other pictures, we can see one of the first movie that Umberto Tirelli made with Piero Tosi. That was Death in Venice with Piero Tosi, costume designer, and Visconti was the director, was the other slide. And this was when Umberto Tirelli opened his costume house. Umberto Tirelli was here with the main cutter, Luigi, and the other seamstress. He started, of course, not with a lot of these people, but he started with 3 or 4 seamstress, a secretary, and a person that was in the administration. But of course, after some years, he had a great success because he was also was called as an archaeologist of the costume, because he had started to have a big collection of authentic pieces of clothes. He had clothes from 1770 to the haute couture. And this important collection of the original pieces was very important for Umberto Tirelli, because in this kind of way he can open the period costumes to see how they was made, and to show to the tailors, to the seamstress, and told them, okay, this is the original jacket, for example, or the original dress. You can cut, you can stitches in the same way. For this reason, Costume House Tirelli became important in the world of the costumes, because had give importance to the details of the costumes, and to make new costumes as the original was made. And this is the importance of our costume house, the capacity of replied the same the dresses and the main clothes of the past as they was made in the past, and we make now the new costumes in that way. And the collection that we had of a lot of pieces, 20,000 pieces of original pieces from the 1770 to the haute couture, let us to have an important idea of in the different historical period the clothes and the dresses are made. And also, when we make now a new costumes, we use to apply to a new costumes some of the original ribbon or original laces. This is important for us to give come si può dire, un sapore di originalità, an originally
Original
good idea on a new costumes. So after that, the costume house grow in the world, and after the death of Umberto Tirelli, when Dino Trappetti had the presidents, became president of Tirelli Costume House, in the 1994, the Tirelli Costume House made the costumes for the Age of Innocence with the costume designer Gabriella Pescucci and Martin Scorsese as director. This movie was very important for our costume house because Gabriella Pescucci won the Oscars for the best costumes, and this opened to the American world our costume house. Then we had the other costumes for the movie of Anthony Minghella, come si chiamava? Il pianista dell'oceano, ma sorry, I have just was in fact the English Patient, and the costume designer and wrote won the Oscar for this for this movie, and the costume we made all the costumes for. So after that, after the 1992-1994, we received, Tirelli Costume House received a lot of requests to make costumes for American movie, English movie. And so we became important also for this market abroad. And so today we have a lot of costume designers that work with us, because they know our important handcraft, our important knowledge of the costumes and of the periods. And it's also important for costume designer to be supported in their work with the costume house that knows very well at each historical period. And we have also an important library here with all the and the pictures of the past, with a lot of images of the costumes. So it's also here an important point of study. In fact, a lot of students come here from different schools in Italy and abroad for stage to learn the costumes, to learn how the costumes are made and the history of the costumes. So this is very important for us, because the new generation can learn how is made a costume, and how it's important to know the period, the historical period, and the original pieces that we have that they can make in the future as a costume designer. So we had at the moment a big space that is 7,000 square meters, full of costumes that are 350,000 costumes divided in l'ho detto bene, 350.000?
300,000. 350,000.
Esatto. Exactly, of costumes, all divided in historical period and in social classes. So we have all the costumes from the period that is before Christ until the 1980 and 1990. This is our part of costumes. If you can go ahead with the slides, so thank you. And for this one of the most important costumes of Visconti. And then if I go ahead, thank you, we have exhibition, because one of our important part of work is the exhibitions, because in London, or in Northern Italy, in Finland, in Spain, we are known also for our collection, as I told you, that has a lot of, for example, 1920 clothes from Coco Chanel. We have 15 original Chanel clothes of the 20s, but in total we have 120 clothes, for example. So a lot of institutions ask us to make exhibition of our costume or our original collection. In this kind, you can see in Madrid, in Thyssen-Bornemisza, the most important museum in Spain, we had this exhibition with our clothes of Chanel. And in London, in the same, in Finland, for example, with our collection of costumes, and also in north of Italy. So exhibition are very important because let us to be known also in the places that doesn't know our works, and and we are very proud of it because it's a way in which we can show our work abroad. And if you go ahead with the slides, please. Okay, here we can see Zeffirelli and Dino Trappetti with Visconti, Dino Trappetti in our atelier, and Umberto Tirelli, Dino Trappetti with La Vreeland. Mrs. Vreeland was the important lady in chief of Vogue and the fashion, the importance of the fashion at the past. But the union between our costume house, Tirelli, and the fashion was also very important in the past and now, because a lot of not costume designer, but fashion stylist ask to us or to prepare costumes for something like a theatrical piece. Has Karl Lagerfeld. Karl Lagerfeld in the past asked it to Umberto Tirelli to make the costumes for a theatrical opera that he make. And today we had a very important, for example, collaboration. I tell you after, because so we go ahead with the slide. This is me with Dino Trappetti, and in this year we had the 60 years of our works. So we make a very, very beautiful party for that, and it was very important because 60 years of works is a very important point of arrival for us. If you go ahead, you can see the Dustin Hoffman when we make a movie with him, with all our seamstress. So this is nice because a lot of important actors or actresses that we dress in the past were very, very friendly with us, and they always were very happy to take a picture with us, and because we have in our costume house a very friendly approach and very simple approach, and this is appreciated from actress, actor, and directors. And we can show also other pictures, so we can explain something about that. These are two very important, three important work we did in the past. This is Cold Mountain with Nicole Kidman, and the costume designer and Donald Sutherland was Anne Roth, and Pinocchio, and the costume designer Massimo Cantini Parrini, that had a nomination for this to the Oscar for this work, and then we made all the costumes here. And the last movie, very important, that we did the costumes was Diamanti, and the costume designer was Stefano Ciammitti. Stefano Ciammitti is a pupil, was a pupil of Piero Tosi, so a very important, he had a very important teacher, but also he is a very, very clever costume designer because he reached he unit the idea of the costume of the past, so he knows very well the historical costumes, but he also give an idea of a particular idea of that, a particular reconstruction like in diamonds. And also we have in the other slides okay, when we prepare the costume, and this is our warehouse. And here, where is the leopard and the Death in Venice, this is our archive. In the archive, as I told before, we have all the costumes we made in the past for the principals, for the principal actors. So we never give to the other movie their costumes, and when we have a part we use for exhibition or we use like a sample, but if an important actress or actor worn a costumes, we never rent another time. And we have our originals. We have all the originals from, as I told, to from 70 to the haute couture. And we make costumes also, if we can go ahead, thank you. Okay, we make costumes for TV series, important TV series like the Vikings, Penny Dreadful, or the Borgias and others. And this is an important also part of our work, so the TV series, the theater, and the cinema. As you can see, these are all TV series, not Italian, because as I told, we work a lot with English and American costume designer. And if you go ahead, we can see something else. Okay, these are now you can saw before the one of the first pictures with Umberto Tirelli when opened, and now these are now with all our employer, with Dino Trappetti, and here also with an important costume designer for theater, that is Pierluigi Pizzi. Piero Tosi, as I told you before, and Pierluigi Pizzi was the two best friends of Umberto Tirelli when he opened the costume house. And then the last, you can see in the other pictures, this is our costume house, when the seamstress prepare costumes, and where we prepare the accessories, the hats, also an important part of the costumes, of course. And we can go ahead, thank you. Okay, and this is our last work. We work, as I told, also we work with fashion. Here we made the costumes for Maria Grazia Chiuri for Dior last fashion show. This is Dior Cruise 2025, the last fashion défilé that make Maria Grazia Chiuri as a fashion stylist for Dior. She asked us to make costumes like the Leopard, Death in Venice, Medea, that are in the history of the costume movies, but we make them with new fabric, a fabric very, very light that is like the medical garza. In fact, it was very, very difficult to work this kind of fabric, but the final effect was incredible. And the idea of Maria Grazia Curie was to have some ghosts that they are moving in before the défilé, and was a very, very nice idea. Matteo Garrone, that was one of the most important Italian director, made a short movie about that with these ghosts that working with the models with the Dior dresses. And this was a very important work with us because we received a lot of congrats from costume designing all over the world for this kind of works. So this is I speak a lot, but I don't know if someone want to know something different or have some questions. I'm here, so.
There is a question, but maybe we can continue and reply, or as you like. You want to answer? There are two questions. You want to reply now or later?
No, it's okay.
Okay, so there is a question from Joanna. Hello, Laura. What a fabulous collection that you presented. I have a question. Why is the collection that are showed in multiple countries in exhibitions are mostly in the color red and black? Is there any reason for that?
Oh no, it's I think it's only casual the pictures. Yes, because it's important to know that a lot of costumes that we make are, for example, for scenes that in the ballroom, so with the evening clothes. And the most important colors in the past, like now, to have in the evening clothes are black, are red, are dark pink. So these are the color of the evening dress. And most of the time when we show the costumes in exhibition, we put the evening dress that are more spectacular. And these are the color in which the costumes for evening are made. This is, but the picture are like casual at the moment.
Okay. So I have another question. For so many years you work in costume designer for films. How do you avoid costume malfunction?
Non ho capito.
Come si può evitare che si rovinino così?
Okay. Okay, this is a good question because you don't avoid, unfortunately, because when we make costumes, new costumes for rent. It's very, very strange that no, strange, it's a very, very, come si dice, raro?
Rare.
Yes, it's very rare that we sell our costumes because they are our items in which we work. So when we make costumes new, we rent to the production. They use the costumes in the scene, in the movie, and they give us back. A lot of time they have some damages because during the shooting it's happened. But we we have when we make the new costumes, we leave in our house a piece of fabric, so we can substitute, for example, the sleeves or the corset or the skirt, and we can adjust them. If they have to be destroyed in the shooting, the costume designer told us before, and we make the doublet. We make two costumes, one for sale, because if it's destroyed, it doesn't come back, and one we rent. So in the scene in which they have to, the costume, the actor or the actress that walk or are in the simple scene, the good one, and when they have to make the scene in which the actor have to fall down, or I don't know, and the costumes was damages, they use the second one that we sell, and then they can destroy it.
Okay. There is another questions. When you do costume for films, it is more important to consider aesthetic factor or the comfort of the actor.
We have to consider both, and this is very important for actor, but also for the costume designer, because it's important that the actor or the actress feel good inside the costumes, but also it's very important to give the idea that the costume designer have to show. Of course, when we have to use a corset, the actress knows that she has to be, come si dice, stretta in un corsetto, deve essere...
Stretta, I don't know the English, but I can search on...
she is to be... facciamo così, to be stretched in a corset.
Tight.
Tied in a corset. Of course, this is not so comfortable, but it's important for the role of the actress. And our work is to give to the actress the right shape of the historical period, but also to let the actress to feel comfortable how is it possible in the costumes.
Thank you, Laura.
You're welcome. And I don't know if someone would to know something more, because I think that I explained our work, and here, this is the expo in Osaka. The Italian pavilion, yes, asked to us to exhibit with two costumes in expo in Italian pavilion. Was a great honor for us, and the president of the Italian Expo asked to have these two dresses. Racconto the tale of the tales with the costume of Massimo Cantini Parrini, and Diamonds with costumes of Stefano Ciammiti, because they were very important in Italian movie, these two Italian movie. And for us it was a great honor to exhibit. They have a lot of suches. In fact, the imperial princess would like to see the Italian pavilion, and when she stopped in front of our two dresses, she put her hands. This is compliments very important for us. And I don't know if someone want to ask something particular.
Hello, Laura.
Hello.
There's some questions from our YouTube. The first one is, hello. I would like to ask which period of time that requires a lot of research to resemble such period of time. That's the first question.
Sorry, I don't, because the audio is not, what?
The
How
first question.
Yes.
Yeah, I put the question in the chat box. They asked that which period of time that requires a lot of research to resemble such period of time.
Okay, the period, what is the period in which we need more research in time?
Yeah, betul.
Okay.
Yes.
But I think all the past period, most of all the ancient before Christ, because we don't have for the period like Medea, for example, we don't have iconic, come si dice, pictures or painting of the time. So it's very difficult to make this kind of research. And the before Christ period is very, very difficult because you have only some, come si dice, statue? Oh, oggi, scusate.
Statue.
Esatto, statue of of that period. So you can see to the dress, to the pleats of the fabric to understand how to make the costumes. So I think that period is the period in which you have to study a lot to research a lot of see, I think that period. It's enough of I don't know if
It's okay. Thank you for the answer, Laura. And there's also a second question from YouTube too. The question is, what the trickiest costume that you ever made? Was it difficult because of the technique, or was it because of the materials you have to work on?
In the last period, I think the most difficult was diamonds, because we use 165 meters of fabric, and we have to make all these coni to that which is made the costumes, and was a very long work. In the movie, in the film, you see the seamstress that in one night prepared this costume. It's not true, because we spent like 1 month and a half to prepare these costumes. It was very, very difficult, the construction, because it's like an architectural dress. So the proportion was very, very difficult to find and to give this shape. And another work that was very hard was the last Dior, because we made the dresses not with silk, that is difficult to work, but we used to work with silk. But we work with kind of garza, medical garza, like the garza you use when you have a problem, with medical problem. And so was very, very difficult, because this kind of garza is difficult with the stitchers, because if you leave too tiny the stitches, they ruin it, and with the garza, we have to start again to make the skirt or the sleeves. So it was very, very difficult to prepare these dresses, but at the end they were very, very beautiful.
There are, I don't know, there are other questions from Tara. I would like to ask which period of time that requires a lot of research to resemble such period of time. So about the research, do you do a lot of research before doing making the costumes?
It depends on the request. A lot of research is made by the costume designer, because the costume designer, if make sketches, drawings of the dress, he have to be studied what he want. So he studied before. The costume designer make the research, then come to us with the sketches, with the drawings of the dress that we make that we have to make, and then we speak together about that. After, also we have our research, we have our books, we have our a computer in which we can have a research if we need something else. For example, our seamstress, our cutter, for her is very important to know the actor or the actress, the body, the shape, because if we have to make, for example, the corset, we have to know also all the measurements, okay? But also she have to figure out the person. And sometimes we don't have the actor here. Sometimes we don't have a fitting with the actor. If it is when we made the costumes, for example, for the American TV series, The Gilded Age, we made a lot of costumes, more of 120, 130 costumes, but we never had here the actor and the actress to have the fittings. We make fittings by Zoom, like now we are speaking. So in America, in Brooklyn, we have the costume designer with the actors, and our cutter was here in Italy. They take the measurements, how in the manner, in the way in which the cutter told them in the same time, and then we prepare here the toile, a piece for fitting. We send to Brooklyn. They fit the toile. We share together how was the fitting, and then the costume come back, and we prepare all the costumes. So it's important to have also to study the historical period, but also it's important to know the proportion of the body of the man body, of woman's body, and to see also by Zoom or by other device the person in which we have to fit.
Okay. The second question is, what are maybe your already required? What the trickiest costume you ever made? So it's
Sorry?
no, qual è stato il più difficile? Però hai già risposto a questa domanda.
Sì, questi sono stati i due che ho detto, sono stati più difficili.
Okay, I have two more questions. So usually in film production, is costume designers needs to provide costume according to the physique of the actor, or the actor needs to fit the costume provided by the designer?
The costume, sorry?
Cioè il costume che si deve adattare alla persona o la persona che si deve adattare al costume?
No, there are all the two situations, because when we prepare costumes for the principal actor and actress, we prepare costumes only for them. So we need the measurements and we prepare the costumes for them. For the extras, because in a film, in a movie, you have the principal actors, but you have a lot of people that are the extras in the street, in the theater. So they are extras, and we give them the costumes for extras. For example, for a big ball scene, we give 100 costumes, and so they fit. And they found the people that suit in the dress, of course.
Okay.
So we have both the situation.
Okay. Another question, Laura, how to mix and match the actual costume with the ambience or background on set so that it looks great on the screen?
Oh, this is not our work.
Yeah, okay,
This
okay.
is not our work. This is the work of the costume designer and the set designer. They have a lot of meeting before prepare the costumes. So in the meeting with the director, of course, they prepare the sketches, the drawings of the set and of the costumes, and they together work to match the colors and all the situation. After that, the costume designer come to us with the sketches of the costumes, and we prepare the costumes. So this is not our problem. We arrive after they have the meeting in which they match everything.
Okay. Let me check if I have other questions. No. So there are many questions. So maybe there is another one. Sorry. Yeah. No, that's has been answered. Yeah. So I have a question. So you say that you have 350,000 costumes. So how is the how often you rent them? Are you renting all of them? How often you can?
Yes, this is a dream. If we rent in the same time all the
No,
costumes.
not on the
It
same time.
depends on the request of the costume designer and the production. In this moment, for example, we have two requests of two Poland production about the same book. There are two costume designers for two different production that would like to rent costume of the same period, historical period, the 1880, and for the same script, but one is for TV series and one is for cinema.
Okay.
And we have at the moment also a request for the new film of Mel Gibson about Christ, was about the resurrection, was the passion.
Okay.
So in this case, the historical period is the biblical.
Ancient Rome. So in this case, for example, in this case for Mel Gibson, you can reuse costume that you made for
yes,
other.
in fact, is the only situation in which we can give the same costumes made at the 25 years ago for the same actor. So we can give because the same actor wear the same costumes. Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. And I have another question concerning the difference between series and TV. Do you work with the same quality and accuracy when it's as a film or series, or maybe with series you do something more
No.
quick, less quality? No,
it's the same. It's the same quality because you have to understand that in the big screen, of course, you can see better everything, every details, but also when you have your iPad or your in front of you, also you can see the details. But we have this only way of work. The attention of details, the attention of everything. We don't make anything in the very light way. We are not able.
Okay. Okay, I have a question from Nilla. Hi, Laura. I love the costumes you guys make, especially for the movie I've seen. I want to ask, how do you designers create and determine the right costume design based on the stories reference you read.
How can you read?
How do you design e create? È come create, determinate il costume, diciamo, il costume ispirandovi alla storia o alle referenze che leggete.
This is the work of the costume designer. We are a costume house that we work with the costume designer. The costume designer, as I told, speak with the director, read the script, and when he read the script, he understand how many costumes have to make and how he have to make these costumes, in what color they are important, with shape. Because, for example, in the script, there is a funeral. He had to prepare a costume for an actress that was that had to be black. So he had to prepare a black costumes for the funeral. So he come to us and he told us that he had to prepare a black dress for the funeral. What he give us a sketch drawings with the shape. Then we studied together how to arrive to this sketch, how to prepare a costumes like the sketch of the costume designer, and we work together. We work together in this way. But the first idea how to have these costumes is from the costume designer. That is our client.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if you have room for more questions. For example, just to take an example of the Mel Gibson, or another film or the series Viking, for example, how much is the proportion of new clothes and the proportion of the clothes that will be reused?
It depends on the cost. Yes. It depends on, for example, for Diamanti, we make 5, 6 for one actress, 3 or 4 for another actress, and then the big one for La Deluge, a movie that the costume designer Massimo Cantini Parrini won now the David Donatello, that is an important prize, Italian prize for costumes and for cinema.
Mm-hmm.
And we make all the costume new because it was only for principal actor. Marie Antoinette, the king, was an intimate movie. In other movie, for example, we give all that is a rental, and we make the costumes, 2 or 3 costumes only for the principal. It depends. It depends on the money they have and the script.
Okay.
So if we can say hello, and
Yes, this is the last question. Yes, I don't know if Putri Nawal, you want to say a final word?
Sorry, the audio is not. Non ho capito perché non si sentiva.
No, I thank you very much, Laura. I want just to know if Nauval or Putri want to say a final word, or Tara.
Yes, Valerio, thank you so much. And Laura, thank you. It was very wonderful presentation, wonderful insights. And as my colleague Putri earlier mentioned, this is the very first time we did virtual workshop on costume designs, and I hope this will not be the last. And I look forward to seeing the costume design in Expo in Osaka, hopefully this year. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you to you. It's a
Thank
big
you very much,
pleasure.
Laura.
It was a great pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Laura. And goodbye and good evening to you in Indonesia.
Yes, thank you. Bye. Thank you for everything.
Okay, Thank you to everyone who asked questions. That concludes the Q&A session and the online workshop for today. Apologies, everyone. It seems that we are run out of time. Thank you for your participation, all your questions, and your enthusiasm in today's workshop. A big thank you to Laura for
Thank you.
today's workshop and also Valerio for helping her too. And thank you for taking the time to share her insights on her experience on designing costumes with all the participants. And hopefully this workshop will give us a bit of insights to costume designs in film. We also want to thank our organizers, the European Union, Embassy of Austria, Belgium, and Wallonie Brussels International, Croatia, Cyprus, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, and Institut Français Indonesia, Germany, and Goethe Institute Indonesia, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Italy, and Istituto Italiano di Cultura, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Netherlands, and Erasmus House, Poland, Portugal, and Camus Institute, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Norway, Switzerland, and Ukraine. And we also want to thank you to our implementing organizers, Bhinneka Cipta Setara, and our festival partners, Kementerian Kebudayaan Republik Indonesia, Hotel Grand Said Jaya, Dewan Kesenian Jakarta, Jakpro, Taman Ismail Marzuki, Kineforum, Kamala Home Living, CGV Cinemas, 100% Manusia Film Festival, Alliance Française in Bali, Alliance Française Medan, Studio Film Movie Resto Prime Indonesia atau Manu Project, Rumah Budaya Malik Ibrahim Sidoarjo, Wisma Jerman Surabaya, and as well as our media partners, Business Launch Journal, Cine Europa, Cinemax, Femina, Gadis, Habis Nonton Film, Info Screening, The Jakarta Post, Kapan Lagi, Klik FM Surabaya, Komik Kompasiana, Liputan6.com, Montase Film, Movie Freak by Binus TV, Moviegoers, Nata Player, Now, Jakarta, OKL Street Library, Tirto.id, Watchmen ID, SI Indonesia, Isi Bali, Isi Yogyakarta dan Kami Cinema, Universitas Erlangga Visip dan EU Center, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia dan HMFT dan FPSD. Lastly, don't forget that the Europe on Screen Film Festival will take from June 12 to 22, where you can enjoy and watch our offline film screenings at various locations, including Jakarta, Bandung, Denpasar, Medan, Sidoarjo, Surabaya, and Yogyakarta. For more detailed information, please visit our website. Thank you again for participating in our workshop. See you at our festival from June 12 to 22 offline in 7 cities in Indonesia. Thank you.
When I was growing up, I thought that a producer was a large fat man with a big cigar with his feet up on the table. I never, ever thought that could be me. And so when I eventually worked my way up the production ladder, you know, doors began to open. And actually, it wasn't about whether I was a man or a woman. It was because I was actually quite good at the job.
It's maybe we felt that it's a time that it's more acknowledged that women have the same qualities and the same abilities as men have.
Changing perceptions is the key thing. We need to stop people thinking that men are in the traditional jobs. As soon as you reverse that idea, younger women get the idea that they can do that job.
That the normal of today is not the normal of tomorrow, and that things have to change, and that the perception of the situation has to change.
If you see women in certain positions, behind the camera, you know, lifting gear, being important producers, or whatever, then that will inspire young women to go the same way.